This is from Rays of the One Light, parallel passages on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. And this is week 31. How democratic is truth? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. We live in an age when people assume that knowledge should be available equally to all. In matters susceptible of judgment by normal common sense, however, everyone knows there are exceptions. Access to a control room for intercontinental missiles is limited by universal consent to a very few. Access to the controls of a passenger airliner is limited to those with the necessary knowledge for operating them, and also to those with the proper authorization. If people don't see the disadvantages of making more subtle knowledge universally available, it is only because they are ignorant of the risks involved. In the case of subtle knowledge, the main disadvantage in making it universally available is the harm it might do to one who isn't ready for it, and who might even mock it. True, by mocking truth, he might undermine the faith of a few truth seekers. But then such tests can also be beneficial as a means of strengthening faith. Again true, the clever doubter's misrepresentation of those truths may dissuade a few seekers from following the spiritual path. But if a seeker really is sincere, he will recognize the truth eventually because it resonates with his own being. No, the greatest problem accrues to the shallow doubter himself. To give him an opportunity to affirm his ignorance might only estrange him even more from the truth, delaying the time when he will turn, as all people must, eventually to the light. Thus, the scriptures advise not secrecy, but discretion in sharing of truth. Jesus Christ says in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, "Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again, and rend you." And Sri Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, "Never speak of these truths to one who is out self-control or devotion, who renders no service, who does not care to hear, or who speaks ill of me." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Welcome also to all of our South Bay family. It's wonderful to come together. This is from Whispers from Eternity. There it is. Demand that God's light drive dark ignorance away. O divine friend, though the darkness of my ignorance be as old as the world, still make me realize that with the dawn of thy light, the darkness will vanish as though it had never been. So, it seems like an incarnation ago, but I was a Reiki practitioner for quite a long time in my life. And when I first started doing that, it was not very well known and not very accessible. In fact, if someone wanted to take the master teacher level to be able to share it with other people, it was pretty standard that it was $10,000 to get that. It wasn't so much that you had to prove your sincerity by sticking with it for a certain amount of time. It was that you had to pay $10,000. So when I came onto the scene, I was grateful that I found someone who didn't charge $10,000 because there was no way I was getting $10,000. And she made it accessible to me. She asked me what my plans were with Reiki. I said, I think it's amazing. I want to share it with as many people as I can. She said, great, you're in. So she did all the stuff for me. And I proceeded to share it. And I learned a lot because my first thought was, this is for everybody. Share it with everybody. Share it with as many people as will listen to me. And pretty quickly I learned, one, I had to charge something, which went against my initial thought, which was, it's free, it's God's energy. How can we charge for this? And what I saw was people going, oh sure, I'll learn that. And throwing it in the garbage as soon as they left the classroom or finished the course. So I thought, oh, there is something to this charging. And it was that people needed to make some kind of commitment outwardly. Whether it was paying something, some people had nothing to pay, so I said, give me an apple or give me something, but there had to be an exchange of energy. So anyways, that was important, but how it relates to this topic is that why was it kept so inaccessible? What was the point? Because usually when there's a tradition, there's some point to it that maybe got lost along the way. So it's very much along the lines of what Swami was sharing, that this is a deep, subtle truth that has to be experienced. And these are sacred teachings that if we throw them around randomly, they kind of get trampled underfoot. What's the harm, you could say, in people everywhere knowing about something like Reiki or something like Kriya Yoga? What are they going to do? It's not like it's black magic or something. But as Swami shared, it does the most harm to them, to the person who's mocking, to the person who's saying, what's the deal? This isn't real. And it's interesting to think about your own experience of meditation for a minute. So maybe if when you tried to meditate, when somebody first told you about meditation, or you first thought about meditation, you tried it, nothing happened, you had absolutely no sense of peace, no sense of joy, and you tried it for months, nothing at all. You would probably not continue on with it. You might think, well, I tried it, it didn't work for me. Next. But what if you didn't even have this sincerity of, I know this works for some people, and you tried it because someone said, you've got to try this, it's the best thing, and you tried it. This is hocus pocus. You push it away. And the more you push something away, the more momentum. We learn in Raja Yoga about the vrittis. and these whirlpools of energy that get lodged in our deep spine. And the more of a vritti we have, the longer it's going to take for us to use the opposite momentum to get ourselves out of that thought of, this is junk, this is garbage. So, keeping that in mind, how democratic is truth? I was thinking about this topic and I thought, I don't even really know what democracy means. So I looked it up. And it's the population votes. The population decides what goes. So how democratic is truth, you could say, is how much does the popular opinion determine what truth is? We could say, well, truth is different for each person. How I experience and think of truth is different than how Sherry would think of truth. Does that mean truth is relative? Or does that mean that our understanding of truth is relative? And we read every single week in Rays of the One Light, truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it and your deathless self within. So we have to tune into the truth as that perfect oneness, the infinite God. That's real truth. So it's subtle though, isn't it? Relativity, truth. But what I was thinking is that's why there's yoga. That's why there's something that we practice to have a direct experience. Because without that, it is just dogma. It is just blind belief, rather than what direct experience gives us, which is faith. Because we know it to be true. We felt it. So it's not something that someone can take so easily away from us, because we felt it. I was at Swamiji in India, and I remember walking into the room where he was. It was a pretty long, it seemed like that long, but maybe it wasn't. But I walked in sheepishly, and I felt this huge rush of energy from him, like I was going to be blown out of the room. That was a direct experience. I knew there's something special about, I already knew there was something special about this man, but I felt it. It wasn't just, wow, he's written so many books, wow, he's written all this good music. I felt it. And nobody could take that away from me. No negativity that I read about Swami later could take that away from me. I felt it. There it was. And so what I think the purpose of this reading really is to show us how we can be direct experiences for other people through the practice, through the purification, through the inner knowing. We perfect ourselves. We become what we're wanting to shove down people's throats, but in a pure, beautiful way. So rather than it just being, you don't know the truth, this is the truth. We emanate the truth. We become one with the truth through our experience, through our longing, our devotion. And in that way, people feel it. They don't have to say, so what is it I'm supposed to learn? Maybe they do say that, but it's after they felt something. It's after they've gone, hey, you've got something that I want. What is it? And then there's the openness for change. Yogananda said, that it was important not to share your deep spiritual experiences with other people. Why did he say that? Well, as Jesus said, not to share them, not to throw pearls before swine, lest they be trampled underfoot. Just like we wouldn't take our rings off and throw them on the ground as a big stampede of people was coming by. How precious is a gemstone? How precious is our dinner? How precious is anything in the physical plane compared to those priceless gems of our spiritual experience? So it's important to share them only when we know that they'll be held up in that same, with that same level of devotion. So I just wanted to close with this, that Swami said to not defend ourselves, and Dion and I were talking about this, but if you think of your spiritual experience as this beautiful little baby that you're holding close to your heart, that's going to blossom and continue to feed your spiritual life. So if you shared it with someone who you felt was gonna honor that, and instead they started doing the pig trampling, to then jump in and defend and say, no, that was a real experience, I know. It just kind of grinds in the trampling even more. Just hold them closely. And that's not to say don't ask for advice or ask people what was going on when such and such happened or anything like that. That's all fine and great. It's just we have to be so careful with tainting those personal experiences with even our own pride possibly, or by sharing it and mixing it with doubt that may come from someone else. I don't think that really happened, or jealousy, or whatever it may be. It's tainting that beautiful, priceless thing. So hold it closely. Be careful with who you share those things. And to always try joy. The nature of joy, Swami said, is to expand, to share itself. And that's why in the Indian scriptures they say that God manifested creation was to experience joy through many. We don't necessarily all experience joy a lot of the time, but that's kind of the point. So we want to share. We have that natural inclination to share, but do it through your vibration, through your love, through your expanding sympathies, your compassion. And do offer love and compassion and sympathy to others. That's how we grow. But don't let anybody be the sandbags on your hot air balloon to bliss. There was another part of that. Just share through your rising. People, just as people see a beautiful sunset and it inspires them, uplifts them, be that beauty in the world. Be the kindness, be the love, be the sympathy, be the compassion that you want to experience in others, and you'll receive that back 1,000-fold.